All right, guys, let's do this. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeartRadio Countdown. Pete Wentz. What the heck, dude?
What up, man? How's it going?
It's going well. I haven't seen you in forever until the Spider-Man premiere the other day. That's the first time I've seen you with the long blonde hair.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. I'm, I had a flight attendant the other day ask me if I was wearing a disguise, so that's, it's going well. It's going well.
What did she mean?
I guess it was a wig, I guess, I was like, sure. Cool.
Well, it looks good.
Thanks, man. You as well.
Thank you so much. I got the blonde thing going too.
Got the memo.
Trying to be like Pete. You said this and kind of walk me through this statement. You said the band has been an ongoing art project for 20 years, and this album is sort of a merge point for all Inception. That's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, I think that we treat the band like it's just an art project. So like each thing is a new, I don't know, installation or whatever. And so like it's just, it's interesting when you're like, I guess this is like, when you're an adult and they're like, yeah, you can just basically like do stuff that you dreamt of when you were a kid. It's just like a weird thing a little bit. So like, we don't take that for granted. But I think that, so we've been doing the band for long enough that like sonically it's changed so much and the world has changed so much as far as like the way people listen to music. And so like this is the first record where we tried to kind of like combine it all in some way, you know what I mean? And make something that makes it all kind of make sense together. And some of it we got right and some of it we didn't get exactly right, but
that's a crazy statement you said where like as an adult, like most adults have a real structure to their like you do this for your career, you show up and you guys when you think about it, you have like, hey, do whatever you want for this next, and granted the audience will either love it or not, but you really have a certain freedom which you really maybe you guys could some would take for granted, but you really that's kind of a cool thing.
You get to play like the floor is lava for a job. You know what I mean? It's like I got lava boots on. I'm fine. I like don't need to not be on don't have to walk on the couch because I have the lava boots, or whatever. Like you play that you could just play that. You know what I mean? Like that's what making the videos is, you know what I mean? It's like someone just is like you have a $50,000 budget for the lava boots or whatever. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, okay, cool, great.
By the way, I never played The Floor is Lava with lava boots. I didn't know lava boots were a thing.
Well, that's what you gotta, I'm playing with my 5-year-old, like every once in a while, Dad needs to take a break and I put the lava boots on so I can just walk over to the refrigerator.
So lava boots are created for like self-survival, basically.
Totally.
All right. The album, So Much for Stardust. Pete, I've known you forever.
Yeah.
And I've loved Fall Out Boy forever.
Oh,
why do I love this album so much? I mean, is it just I've connected and there's no explanation? What is it about this thing?
I think that me and you have like hung over the years and talked about things over the years, and so I think that we're at like a similar place in life in some ways.
Right.
Like it's like kids and whatever, and like that was really what was all poured into this album. You know what I mean? Like I think that it's like I'm gonna turn 44 next week or whatever. I don't remember. I don't
even say ages anymore. I'm 100.
Yeah, totally. But like it's just like it's a weird thing where you're like you're not young, you're not old.
Right.
But you're like this like you're in the middle of the journey, you know what I mean? And you're like trying to just I don't know. It's like I try to like think about like we were talking the other night at the movie. Did you like the movie?
I didn't stay for the movie.
Oh,
I did the Pete Wentz early exit.
Yeah,
so.
Dude.
Is Spider-Man, was it amazing?
It was fantastic. It was also I think like almost 3 hours long. So I'm there with my kids and my kids are like, like
when's it gonna end, Dad?
Yeah. But the movie was so good, really good. Really good.
We just took a turn from album to Spider-Man, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. It's interesting because like there's like a little bit of like I don't know. There's just like they baked a lot of stuff into this movie, and it's very well done.
I think you said this about this last album, So Much for Stardust. As soon as you guys hit send, and this is kind of typical Pete, you wanted to hit unsend because you're thinking, oh God, I need to change that or this. But what? Yeah, give me that.
Yes. I have a very hard time like finishing the project, and I think if it wasn't for like management or probably Patrick on some level, like I would just keep editing and changing and whatever. And like it just at some point it doesn't get better, and then B, it maybe starts to get worse. You know, like where you start, you know, like it's like when you're making the painting and you add too much color, and then all of a sudden it's just like, you know, brown or whatever. Like it's like I think I could definitely take an album there.
Now, when you do those last second changes, are you typically adding more or taking out?
Changing, you know,
so just changing in general.
Adjusting. Yeah. Yes, and I don't think that the adjustments are always for the better. It's like it's stuff that's overthought. You know what I mean? Like where you're like, like this shoe with this color laces or that color laces, and you're like your friends are like, nobody looks at your shoes, so like who cares?
Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
Hey, is there a song on the album that almost, and there's a reason I'm asking this, that almost didn't make it? Because for some reason those songs I found, you know, by talking to so many artists, oddly enough, those songs that almost did not make it become massive.
Kintsugi Kid, that song almost didn't make it. The reason that song did make it is I would be playing them for people, and that people would be like, "What? Well, what about this song?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's like one we're not going to finish." And they were like, "You should finish that."
So enough people say that you're like, "All right, maybe I should listen."
Yeah.
Pete, weirdest place. Fans have loved you for years, you know, and all your fans are great, obviously. But sometimes you get asked for picks in the weirdest, most bizarre places. Give me one of those experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I get asked on the way in and out of bathrooms in the airport sometimes, like where you're in that transition hall, you know, and you're like, I don't. It's like kind of like we're in the bathroom, so it's a little weird.
Like you just past the where you dry your hands in the mirror.
Yeah, you're like it's a little weird. I also get asked, you know, so when you're the parent, often like I feel like you're the pack mule, right? So you carry like everything. So I feel like sometimes when I'm in like Disney or wherever, I'm like, I got like 40 drinks and like everybody's like sweatshirts and like all that stuff. And then I always feel like someone's like, can I get a picture? And I'm like, I mean, it's totally cool because like this is the thing. I've asked people for that kind of stuff and whatever, but like it's always like I'm always like these pictures have to look so weird because I just have so much stuff.
You get a pack of churros,
totally,
know? Dude. I had I don't get asked for pics like you do, but I was at and this girl was super sweet, and I'll take a pic with food in my mouth. I don't care, but I was holding a big box of. I was at BMO Stadium, and I was holding a big box of Trejo's tacos.
Yeah, totally.
I was trying to get.
You're like, should I get this in the pic or not? That'll look crazy.
Like, here, hold this. Pete, this Fall Out Boy tour, the current one you're on, are you loving this as much as you have in the past, more or less? Like, where are you at in your love or hate of road life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I always loved the shows. A little bit of the like, you know, in between the shows is not as much like, you know, like the travel and you know, different hotels and that kind of stuff. But I feel very lucky, that we're able to do this still, you know, 20 years in. And then also you like just find ways, like my family will come out, my friends will come out, you know, like my dad will play golf with me or something. So like it's, you know, like you find ways to make it like, you know, adjacent to what your home life is.
Is there a feeling like when you're on stage, obviously the crowd has come to see you, so you kind of have them in the palm of your hand to a certain degree, you know, because they bought tickets to see you're headlining the show. But is there a moment where you really like, you know, like I've got them now? Like, is there like, okay, they're in?
There's definitely moments and shows where you're like, we are like operating at the highest level that we can do this at, and like I feel like that connection more so. But I think just in general, like, I think that, like, you know, whatever anyone's job is, you know, like, or not maybe even what your job is, like, the thing that you're passionate about, that you do the most, like, once you've done the 10,000 hours, it's like things can go wrong or sideways, and it's not really that wrong because there's nothing you can, like, I feel like if I had 10,000 hours of being a car mechanic, like, anything somebody brought in with the car, you're like, well, you know, it's not exactly what I wanted to do, but, like, I know how to fix it, you know, or whatever. I feel like that on, you know, when we're playing, like, it's like, anything that could go wrong has gone wrong before. You know what I mean? Like it has. So it's like...
Which I'll get to that later, by the way.
Oh, you are?
I'm going to come to that one. Of course, the album, So Much for Stardust, it's out. Hold Me Like a Grudge, going to play that track in a couple minutes. Pete, when you're on tour, do you use a hotel alias?
I do use a hotel alias.
Could you explain to people, if they don't know how that whole thing works? Because this is... I love hotel alias. Don't give your current one, obviously, but how does it work?
Yeah, so, you know, you have an alias so that your name, the room would not be under your name. So if somebody came in and tried to find you, you know, so there's been funny ones in the past, clearly. Like, I forgot who had this one, but someone had Someone had Charles Cheese, which was Chuck E. Cheese. That was a Dave Chappelle, maybe. Somebody had Charles Cheese, which was really funny to me. What are ones I've had in the past? I had before Lil Wayne. This is so crazy how long ago this was. Before Lil Wayne was like big, and he was like mixtape big.
Right.
I used to stay under Wheezy F Baby. But then he got like so much more famous than me. So like I was like, that one's not going to work anymore. I usually pick comic book characters' alter ego names.
I guess the only downside of that is if you lock your keys in the room and you have to go to the front desk in your boxers probably, and they say, "Hey, I'm Pete. I need my room." I'm sorry, there's nobody named Pete. Spider-Man, you know.
Yeah. What happens more often than you would ever expect is you'll be in Europe or something, and you go and you need the key. And they're like, you say your name, right? You say Peter Parker or whatever, and they're like, I need to see an ID, and you're like, there is no ID for this person. So it just, like it can be that part of it. If the person doesn't recognize you, then you're probably going to have a problem, or there's not a note that says like Alias or whatever.
That is hilarious. Pete, hold me like a grudge. I mean, give me the video. You guys have to see the video. I've been loving these videos. You guys have put so much into them. I mean, Thanks, the creativity, the makeup, all that.
Thanks, man.
But the song itself, "Hold Me Like a Grudge." Give me something on this.
Yeah. So when we were writing the record, Patrick played me this song, the demo of this song, and I thought that the verse, it reminded me of like early 2000s alt rock a little bit, but when he got to the chorus, it just felt like so distinctly Patrick Stump. And then I remember playing it for my friend. I played it for my buddy Ryland, and he was like, "How is Hold Me Like a Grudge not a Fall Out Boy title already?" He's like, It feels like it should have been a title, and it just made me start to think about like there should be like, because I know we have the like we have the what is the Mandela effect or whatever.
That's an interesting thing, yeah.
But like what about ones like where like it should exist, but it like doesn't exist yet, but like everyone would have thought it existed. You know what I mean?
It does sound like, yeah.
Like Hold Me Like a Grudge sounds like it should have already been a Fall Out Boy title.
That is a great point.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I know you're notorious for changing titles last second, but this needed no change, clearly.
No.
2-part question.
Yeah.
What do you consider your best live performance ever? This is the question I warned you about. And then the complete flip of that, what do you consider your worst? So near perfection to utter disaster.
So our best performance, I think that there's, people could say there was probably like some shows that we played at the Metro in Chicago that I think were very good. I guess I would say the first time we played Wrigley Field, because it was just like that was it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And like and then we played well as well. So like it was like, I don't know, like being in the finals and then like also playing well or something, which is cool. And then for worst, I mean, there's been some bad ones. There's definitely ones where you're like, when we play in Australia, like for some reason the time we go on is like right when the jet lag like really hits. So it'll be like 8:39, and like you starting to feel tired and feel like foggy a little bit, and like. That's kind of the worst. For me, I remember we played some shows, and I'd I'd gotten in this habit of, on this one tour, because it was just like so intimate. So I was like, I would like have like a shot before we went on stage, right? And we're playing, and all of a sudden I'm about to run into Patrick. We're like face to face or something, and I'm like. Like maybe, and like I don't drink anymore before we play, or whatever, but like that was the moment, like it just felt like a little bit like I think nobody else would have noticed it, but like it felt a little bit like like you're on black ice and you're like crashing into a forest or something. But what I would pride us on is that we find a way through always, you know what I mean? Like we figure it out, and like I think that to me. Sometimes that stuff offers the feeling of it feeling like a unique, special thing. Right.
Fair point. At least I've heard stories where somebody, like one guy told me he fell off the stage and the mic went in his mouth.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine like singing and you pull the mic out and you just keep on going? I
feel like you'd Yeah,
that's rough. I've met you, obviously. I've met Patrick quite a few times over the years. And then we talked about this the other day on the phone. I have never met Joe and Andy.
Yeah.
This is just a question for me.
Do they exist?
Do they exist? Are they a hologram? I mean, how can I have met you guys? I've been to your house. How can I have not even ever seen them in person ever?
I mean,
are they real?
You're telling me. I asked myself, like, is Andy Hurley a figment of my imagination? Yeah, they exist. They exist. They do. Are
they fun to hang out with? Or do they want to? Maybe they don't want to see me. Maybe that's the whole. I just figured it out.
It's like the Tooth Fairy. I just want you to keep believing, and we won't pull back any of the curtains.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. The Tooth Fairy it is. I love the paranormal, ghost, UFOs, all that stuff. I've got a podcast called Paranormal. I mean, I'm off the deep end. You are too to a degree, or maybe further than me. I don't know. Have you had something that you consider a paranormal encounter?
I feel like I've had dreams that I've like woken up from and still seen stuff. So I feel like there's potentially could have been, but like I'm like such a I'm so skeptical about everything, like normal stuff, like I'm like, why do they put so much ice in the Starbucks, whatever, like that. It's like, you can't even, I just, I'm always trying to poke holes in everything. But yeah, I feel like I've experienced things that I could not explain.
Okay. Next time you guys go on tour,
yes,
or maybe as you complete this tour,
yes,
I would love to, and I'm doing this for one other artist. It sounds crazy, but I would love, behind the scenes, a list of the hotels you're staying at, and I'll do some research and find because chances are one of these hotels has a haunted room, or haunted something.
Yeah, please.
I would love to say, hey, Pete, XYZ Hotel, I would love for you to request room 37B.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so I'm down.
There we go. And your job is to stay there. And if anything happens, record it, and then maybe run and scream or whatever.
Yeah.
But, okay, there we go. We were talking about this thing that you always do. Last second, you change, the band, you guys turn the album in, and then Pete sort of sneaks in and changes the titles,
Yeah.
Any title changes on this album?
They're all, in a weird way, they all get changed because they're known by their demo name until I, put in the name, and everybody gets mad about it. Yes. So, yes, in a way, all of them.
Why do you think? I mean, is there something where is it just the having trouble committing to a name?
Sure. That and I don't know. I guess when you're we're talking about the lava boots and when you're doing a punk art project or something, you're like, what are the ways I can still keep this loose, or what are the ways that it can still feel because you now
it's not work.
Well, yeah, it's not work, and it's and it's just spontaneous, right? So because sometimes it can lose when you get a day sheet and this person says you got to be here at this time, it loses the spontaneity, and so try to shoot that stuff in wherever I can.
I would love to see the look on some of the other band members' face. I
don't think they love it.
They're like, hey, listen, what song is that? I don't remember. What?
Yeah, I don't know if they love it. Spontaneity is not for everyone.
Fair enough. Pete, you, true or false, every time you agree to go out, you immediately want to go home, and you have mastered, we alluded to this earlier, you've mastered the art of the early exit. Yes. Kind of like I did with Spider-Man.
Yes.
I did the press thing and all that fun stuff, and then I'm like, I'm out, But you stayed for that
peace.
One. Yeah, see ya. Although I wish I would have stayed for the movie, but because I heard it was amazing. But you
I'll see this on Disney Plus.
Yeah, right.
See ya.
Peace.
Oh, it's not a Sony. Never mind.
Oops.
I'll be paying $20 for this on iTunes.
But you what's your that's the true thing for you. You go in and you somehow you skate out, right?
Can't be missed if you never leave. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I just think that, right? Okay, so just like everything, a hangout, party, everything has its peak, right? Everything has its peak, and then everything past the peak is just the memory of the peak, right? Like, and the memory of the build up to the peak, right? You know, and
kind of like this countdown. We peaked about like song number 12.
Yeah, there you go. And it's almost like we were talking about, like, this is so scary and sad. Like, I think we're in the middle of the peak when you're this age. Like, you're in the peak, you know, like you're in it, because everything else was the build up to it, and everything after it is the other side of the roller coaster. But like, that went way too deep. But I think that like that is how it is when you're at a party or you're at a whatever. And so I always try to like leave at the peak or right before it.
That is note to self. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
When the peak hits, when I'm thinking. Like when but you have to be, you know, somewhat willpower.
Yes,
if that's to leave when you're having the greatest time ever.
Yes,
that's the difficult part.
Yeah, totally. And the thing is like, to me, is like you're either I think that there's two extremes. There's two kinds of people, and then there's like a bunch of people in the middle. But the two kinds of people on the sides are like, you either say goodbye to every single person there, or you say goodbye to no one. And I'm gonna say goodbye to no one. I just am like. And you're gone, and people are like, maybe he's in the bathroom. I don't, you know, but I can't be this. Like, if it's in my heart, I think I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody person,
right?
And I just don't have the time for it. So I'm just you know.
So don't be offended if Pete leaves and you're like, where did Pete? I don't know where he went. Fall Out Boy fans been loving you and the band forever. What is a message? I've never asked you this question. Message to those fans, new fans, old fans, all of them.
I mean, I would say that like this is that. Our band has always been a little strange. Like, it's been strange at pop radio. It was strange when it was on TRL. It was like, you know, we looked a little weird, and, you know, the music was different, and Arms Race was a bizarre song to have at Top 40, and, you know, like all of them, Uma was, you know, I would just say that, like, if you don't fit in elsewhere, you can not fit in with us together. Like, that's what our band has always kind of been. Like, we are happy to be the boat that takes you to the island of the misfit toys. You know, like, we can all not fit in kind of together.
What was the video years ago? You asked me to be in one of your videos where my head, the special effects made my head explode and my brains landed on you.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? What was that video? Because I recall like goop all over the studio.
Yeah,
it was
like
crazy.
We were like rolling out a song. I can't remember what song we were rolling out, but yeah.
So it's not my imagination. That
happened, we did
right?
that. Yeah. Totally.
All right. If you guys ever find that, like, speaking just people listening, I need to see that thing. I
need to as well.
That's just the craziest thing ever. I've never had somebody ask me to do that, and that was the coolest thing. So point to you. Hey, what else do people need to know, Pete, about you or Fall Out Boy? I must have forgot something.
I think that's it. You know, anything else would include my Social Security and my mother's maiden name.
We need to go there. Pete, thank you for hanging on, man.
Thanks, man. Always good to see you.
At the end of every interview, fist bump to make it official. Give me a little bye.